So welcome to WTF Stories and Advice. I'm Caroline Cranshaw.
And I'm Daryl Gove.
And we are two hypnotherapists living in New Zealand and giving probably unwanted advice, though people do write to us. And we just like to tell funny stories and give people advice.
Well, if you've got a problem in your life and you think that other people would find your problems amusing, then write to us and we'll be sure to laugh as we attempt to help you come up with solutions. Equally, if you enjoy our points of view on difficult situations, then write to us with any difficult situation you have and we will happily share 100 different points of view.
And if you don't agree with our points of view, write to us and we'll take the piss out of you. But we're not so arrogant that we think that we're always right. We are here to learn. We don't do everything perfectly.
No.
And so if you don't agree with us,
let us know what you think.
Yeah, I'll take your feedback and make fun of you or admit I'm wrong, which has happened.
I was going to say that did happen once, wasn't it? When you were 5, was it?
I'm wrong all the time. I'm happy to admit that. I don't get everything right. I think you've got to be a complete narcissist to think you're always right. Okay. We have a listener letter.
Ooh.
And we're not going to take the piss out of you, hopefully. So here we go.
But no promises.
No promises. So dear Caroline and Daryl, I've wanted to write to you many times, but I've only worked up the courage now. Sometimes listening to you guys feels like listening to an old friend.
Aww.
I hope you can help me with a minor problem I'm having. Before I set the scene, let me tell you about what made me decide to write in. I was at a museum with my gay friend, let's call him Bob, who reminds me a lot of Daryl.
He must be great.
He must be fabulous, obviously. I'm having my period and went to put on a pad. It got stuck to my lip, and when I pulled it off, it was bleeding. Ouch. I came out and Bob was laughing so hard at me as I explained what happened. I think he was also happy for the rest of the day that he would get to do most of the talking. I was telling him about your podcast and he encouraged me to write in about my problem.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
So when she said he did most of the talking, does she mean her mouth lip or her lady lip? Her downstairs lip that the pad stuck to?
Well, I'm assuming when you have your period and you put it on a pad, she didn't put it on her face.
But then how is it that she's not talking? Unless she somehow, I don't know, how would that even work? Anyway.
Well, that reminds me of a little story that I'm going to tell very quickly. At the very beginning of the pandemic, like beginning of March, I went to a conference in Australia and it got really hysterical. They basically, New Zealand decided to shut the border. So we had to get back in time and it was just this panic and we had to change our flights. And the only flight we could get on was an Air China flight. And everyone was paranoid about flying Air China at the time because of this pandemic. So I was talking to a friend who is very well traveled, who happens to be a stand-up comedian. And she said, well, why don't you get a maxi pad and put that on your face? Because you couldn't buy a mask anywhere, right? Because everything had sold out. And so I'm like, what am I going to do? And she's like, oh, just get a maxi pad and glue that to your face. And I was like, I'm not going to walk around with a freaking maxi pad over my mouth. And then she was saying I should get some adult diapers and put that over my head.
Oh,
but anyways, dear. Yes.
Oh,
okay.
Dear.
That's probably not the best story.
I can just picture you. Can I have some adult diapers, please? For my face.
And just like cutting out the eyes and the nose. It was desperate times. Okay. Let me set the scene. I am a 36-year-old non-lesbian woman.
Very important to know.
Interesting. Like, wouldn't you just say heterosexual rather than non-lesbian?
Like, nothing makes me more sure that she's lesbian than the fact that she put non-lesbian. Or at least you've had a play. I could guess that much. It's like, I did sleep with women, but I'm not a lesbian.
I'm a lesbian from the waist up. Although I had a threesome once. My last serious relationship. See, she has had a play. You're right. Everyone's gay when they go to prison, Daryl. That's the thing. All right. My last serious relationship ended in 2009. Okay. Well, that's a while ago.
Yeah.
Since then, I've dated a few dickheads. For example, I had a holiday booked in San Francisco with this jerk called Russell, who, P.S., had a really small dick. Oh, that's good to know. So, however, we drove 11 hours to get there. And after we checked into our hotel, he said, we need to talk. He told me it wasn't working and could he put me on a plane home? I told him to fuck off. Wow. I know. You came all that way for a small dick. And then he tries to tell you to leave. What the hell? I told him to fuck off. I came all this way. I'm staying. He stayed too. Though we weren't together, he kept asking why I was upset the whole time. Men are so dumb. I wish I was a lesbian. The boss says, nah, you just need to find the right man and that penises are way better than vaginas.
I like Bob.
Yeah. Bob sounds hilarious. So here I am wanting to start my family. I own my own home, have a good job, and supportive friends and family. I'm aware of the clock ticking and would already have been through IVF. However, lockdowns, etc., caused many delays and disruptions on that journey, not just getting through bookings, but also financially. It is an expensive journey here in the US. Now, my question. I worked with this really quiet but lovely girl named Sheena. She's the kind of girl that would give you her panties if you peed your own. Sheena is married and has 2 kids. Sheena recently told me about a friend of hers. Let's call him Captain Blackbeard. He has been single for a long time and is 44 years old. He is quiet, reserved, and likes the outdoors. These are things you could use to describe me, but my Blackbeard is not on my face, if you know what I mean. Okay. I'm like, see, I'm way too visual. I'm like, is it a long beard? Does it have like mustache? Does it curl to the sides?
Can we just take a moment to realize that the 70s is never coming back and the days of bearded ladies downstairs is just over? And I don't know. I find that a shame.
Well, there's been a little bit of a revival of the fur bikini. Not like full on, but I've got like several friends that literally had it all lasered off and really regret it. One friend talks about how she just has a bearded clam, that it just literally grows like on the inner lips and that's it. Well, I think it is clam. Just ask your clam burger. But I think it's like, that's all good to get it lasered and waxed and all that, but everything has a trend, right? You might need a merkin, which is a pube beard. I told them to get a merkin. Do you know what a merkin is?
It's like in the a merkin is like a pubic wig. And P.S. why they needed them is usually sex workers that needed them because they would get their STDs or lice and they'd have to shave their pubic hair. And shaving, even in men in days past, even the face was a sign of illness and sickness. So if you were healthy, you had a full, healthy beard. And so people from like the 1800s seeing the woman now, they go, oh my gosh, everybody's so ill. All the men look so sick. All of the women are clearly ladies of the night. And that's one of the reasons I don't like laser is because it's like in the 90s when everybody got that tattoo around their top of their arm. Do you remember that? Everybody got that like circle, and it just didn't age too well. With getting permanently rid of hair under the arms or pubic hair, not only can you not change your mind and change it back if fashions change or you just change your mind, but the other thing is that you no longer eliminate the same from that area. So these hairs grow in lymphatic zones where your body can use the hair to actually grow out and get rid of toxins that are hard to eliminate from the body. And it can lead to a buildup in your body. So if somebody asks for my advice, which no one has and nobody is, but if you do, I'm going to say rather shave and wax, because that way the hair can still grow back and you can still keep your powers of elimination. I'm an advocate for the beard.
Yeah. I just think there's definitely trends. I wouldn't worry too much about for women taking off leg hair or underarm hair, but I don't know. Whatever floats your boat.
So her black beard is downstairs. If we know what she means, yes, we do.
Yes. Okay, back to the story. Sheena came up with this idea of going on a blind date with him. Would I be interested? I feel that I just don't want to. Probably it would be awkward. And what if we don't click and now we have to be on a whole date together? On the other hand, I could get some sperms for free. And there's the potential, if I date again, to meet someone who can be my, as you called it the other week, baby daddy. I am not concerned in having a partner because I'm happy with my life. I just don't want you to think I would use a man for his love juice. That's not what I'm saying. Just that I'm considering a relationship for creating a family rather than finding a missing piece. What do you think? Should I go on the date? Should I put myself out there again? Should I carry on with my life that I love? Or should I just carry on with my life that I love and see what happens? I feel you're a bit of a psychic, Caroline, and I wonder if you can sense the future for me. Either way, I'd love to hear from you both. Should I date or wait? Yours, Spermless in Salem.
Like the witchy place.
Yeah. There's Salem, Massachusetts, and there is also Salem, Oregon. So she could be on the West Coast or East Coast.
Well, I think that she sounds fun. And I think to deprive an awesome guy of the opportunity to have her as a partner would be devastating. Your sense of humor is awesome, and you should definitely spend time with someone special with that humor and not just take their sperms.
Well, what I think is there's a sperm donor on every corner. It's not hard to find sperm. There is a million men out there that would very willingly give you their sperm for free. To have a baby with? Not so much. But I get a lot of women that are wanting to look for a sperm donor. And in New Zealand, it's a very serious thing to endeavor. You can't see any photos. You don't get a lot of history. It's a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Anonymous.
Yes. The fact that you can't see photos, no way. I'd want to see a photo of any sperm donor because,
yes, please.
Yeah, you could be repulsed by them. You know what I mean? Or you know.
Have you heard of Co-Parent Match? There's a website for sperm donors and matching people that want sperms.
Yeah,
it's like
that's
Tinder.
A good idea.
And you put a big profile and you put all about you, any important things they want to know, and then you put what you're looking for. So some women are on there just looking for sperm. Some men are there just to donate sperm. And then underneath, you're like, which options will you use? So you can have sex. You can turkey baster method. You can go to a clinic. And then if you go to a clinic, you put who's going to pay. So for example, I want some sperms. I want to go to a clinic and I'm going to pay. And then you can chat to each other and match up sperms. And then you decide what relationship you want with the child. So are you going to co-parent? So are you going to do you want to be in the child's life? Or do you want to be like a distant relative? Do you want the child to know you're the father? And yeah, so I don't know if you've got something like that in the USA, but that's something that exists in New Zealand at least. You could come here for a holiday, get some kiwi sperms.
Yeah, because didn't you go on that?
That's how I know all about it, yeah. I was single, and I was in my mid-30s, and I was thinking about, like, I would like to have a kid. I think I would be a great dad. And this, as a caveat, was before I realized that dogs were superior to children and got a dog. I was thinking about it, and there's heaps of lesbian couples. There's a lot of single women. They don't have a partner, but their clock's ticking, and they're like, shall we have a kid? And I think the family unit is really important. There's so many families that split and blend these days anyway. I thought 3 or 4 loving parents is better than none. So it was something that I really seriously considered, but didn't take any further. I didn't go as far as to chatting to anyone or meeting them, just kind of thinking about it.
Yeah, I remember you said you always wanted kids until you met me.
Yes. I was like, what if I have a kid like Caroline? That would ruin my life.
Not in that way, but yeah, I have 2 biological children and 3 stepchildren. And so I'm always like, "Don't do it, Daryl. Don't do it." And I love my children, all of them, and I wouldn't want to not have any of them, but it's not easy. And I think that you can live a very happy, satisfied life without children. Now, 36, you've got a bit of time. I wouldn't. Some people say, oh, once you're in your mid 30s, you really need to like instantly do something about it. I And there's lots of I remember when I got divorced and I started dating, I just met all these men in their 30s that desperately wanted to have kids, and I didn't. And I had my tubes tied, and I was like, if you want kids, they're not coming out of me, right? Like, shop's
Good.
closed. That's great if you already have them, but I did not want to give birth to any more children. And so I would put it out there. I'd make a list of exactly what you want. With this guy, I know blind dates can be a bit, I don't awkward. My advice is always to vet every single person you're going to go
Mm.
out on a date with by the phone. Just have a conversation. You'll know within 2 minutes whether or not you want to meet this person. That was the biggest mistake I made in the beginning of dating, was not talking to people and showing up for a date and just going, "Oh my god, I just want to poke my own eyes
Oh,
out."
yeah.
And so then I would vet them, and it was like, got rid of 95% of guys that way, because I would just be bored to tears, or they were weird, or whatever it was.
Oh, some people really struggle on the phone though, so you might have passed by some awesome guys, or maybe not,
Probably.
but probably. Well, can we? Do you mind if we look back to the age thing for a moment, because this is a conversation that I hear a lot. I'm in my early 40s. I've got a lot of friends in their 30s. Some are having children. Some are starting that journey. I've got friends that have gone through IVF, etc., etc. And I think we've mentioned on this podcast before that New Zealand has the oldest age in the world for first children. So
Mm.
women have their first child at the oldest age. And the statistic apparently is once you reach 30, if you haven't already had a child, half of all women that want one won't be able to, no matter what they try. So the chances at 36 is about 50-50. And there are things you can do to help that. So there's heaps of things that we do a lot of fertility work in our field. Naturopaths and nutritionists can give some really great advice. And of course, you've got your fertility experts that are going to help you. But if you wait and wait and wait, the longer you wait, I don't think it's like rush and do it now. Of course, you've got time. People are frequently giving birth in their late 30s, early 40s. But there is a slope that you go down that the older you get, the harder that's going to be.
Yeah, that's very true.
Sorry to be the bearer of bad.
If you
Yeah.
can, freeze your eggs. And what I'll do is I'll add a link of an article I've written with the advice I give around things to boost fertility. And I'm about to post a YouTube hypnosis track on boosting fertility as well. But
Oh, cool.
I'd get really clear about what it is you want in a partner. I mean, there's no reason why there's plenty of women who have babies on their own anyways, right? They meet someone and then it
Hmm.
doesn't work out. But I would also think about, why is it that you want a child? What do you want to get out of it? Because I think a lot of people, having a child isn't necessarily a logical decision, it's an emotional decision, and it's a biology driven decision, because your happiness doesn't tend to go up when you have children. And this sounds like a really horrible thing to say, but I get a lot of women that are just desperate to have a baby, and they can't really verbalize why. And I think it's something in our DNA, especially for women, that tells us we need to breed. But is that actually what we want, or is it that our biology telling us that?
Well, I would have to imagine, because as we get older, we see less and less people in our life.
Mm.
And, the thought of being old and not having children, no one to come and visit you, no one to take care of you if you're ill, relying on your own resources that you've provided for yourself or the government, it's a scary thought. And so it's security, it's love. I know the more children that my sister had, that the more love there was in my life. The more people to love. And so even though it's a biological drive, having more people to love in your life surely is a good thing
Yeah.
that makes people happier.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm just saying think long and hard and go spend a weekend at a friend's house who has kids. And just make sure, if you can, if that's really what you want. Because I had several friends that said they really wanted to have kids, and then they stayed with me for a weekend, especially when I was a single mom, and were like, yeah, I'm out. No thanks. Do not want to have kids." So
It's the common denominator here, and there's no way to say this without being offensive. Is it your kids? Are other kids
yeah,
great? And you have made
my
it.
kids are amazing. I don't know what you're talking about, but my daughters were handfuls when they were little.
Mhm.
They were just into everything. And they were awesome, but it really did. I had several friends that literally changed their minds after staying with me. So I don't know. I would just say yes, absolutely. If you want to have children, I couldn't imagine a life where I didn't have children, and I adore my children, and I'm glad that I had children. But I also, some of my happiest friends are people that don't have kids. So I think it's something to think about and know that that is not the only thing that's going to bring you happiness. My gut is to do a bit more dating, but also look at freezing your eggs because that buys you some time. But there are things you can do to boost your fertility. I don't
Mhm.
want to give necessarily psychic predictions here, but I'd check out Mr. Blackbeard or at least have a phone conversation with him and see if you vibe.
Well, this is the thing with blind dates is it can be very, very awkward. I remember setting my friend up once with my brother-in-law's friend, and they didn't vibe on the date, and it was a bit awkward. And afterwards, it was so awkward for everyone. What if instead of having a blind date, because yeah, you might get there and you might not like each other, but you could like be totally in love with each other straight away. You could be perfect. What if you tell your friend, have a dinner party, don't you dare tell him that I'm coming as a single person to check him out. Invite him and invite me. And if we naturally click, we naturally click. And if we don't, we don't, but there's no pressure.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's good advice.
Or get his phone number and accidentally send him nudes. That's bad advice. I don't mean that. That was a joke.
I remember because women are always like horrified when they get dick pics, but there was this woman who thought, okay, I'm going to send men what's the word when they don't ask for it?
Solicited. Unsolicited.
Unsolicited photos of her vagina. And I don't think she actually used her vagina, but like, I think she was on some dating site or Tinder or something. And people would be like, "What's up?" And she'd be like, "That's what's up." And send him a picture of a vagina. And every guy was into it. They were like, "Nice. When can I come over?" Like, no one was like, "Oh, how dare you?" They all thought it was great. So,
Interesting.
absolutely. So you could just send pictures of your vagina.
It also it does sound like if you're not wanting a relationship, is that the best way to start a relationship?
No, but if you want some sperm, that's a good place to start.
Although usually we're dealing with the other side, like in clinic, I'll have people that desperately want a relationship, but they for some reason aren't able to find one or can't have one. And I think that can cause a lot of difficult dynamics in a relationship, a lot of
Mm,
making bad choices. Whereas if you're in a position where, well, I don't really need a relationship, don't really care if I have one, I'm really happy, then it puts you in a great position of power to be able to just actually say no thank you to anything you don't want and not to be ignoring obvious flaws or red flags. So maybe it's a good place to start dating.
yeah, I think so. The less whoever cares the least holds the most power in a relationship. Absolutely. But if you want to have a baby and you're quite happy to have a sperm donor, then go for it. I think whatever makes you happy, but also know it is incredibly hard to raise children. Like it's not an easy path to go. And I would just make sure if you are going down that route, you do have some support, that you can hire help,
Yes.
that you can afford childcare, and that you've got supportive family and friends. Because I had a baby in New Zealand I had some friends to support me. I had a husband who worked constantly and no family. And it was incredibly difficult. Like I really, really struggled until they were older. And I'm glad I did it, but it wasn't, I just thought it was going to be so just, oh, me and the baby are just going to hang out and it's going to be great. And it was like, it was a big shock to my system. And so it's not the easiest path. And so just make sure you've got good support. If you've got good support, then you'll be fine.
Yeah. It's it depends on your drive as well. Like, I know, my sister, when she was a kid, what do you want to be when you're older? A mum. That's all she ever wanted. And so when she became a mum, she wouldn't even let our mum help her in the beginning. She was like, no, I'm doing a nappy. I just want to do everything. I want to enjoy every minute. Of course, my mum has been like a second mother. She's like, helps all the time, does heaps and heaps of babysitting. But that's something that's absent from a lot of people in New Zealand because we have so many immigrants here, immigrant families and couples. And very often people marry a Kiwi, move here, and break up. And so what you've got is you've got solo mums with zero family and zero network in New Zealand alone. And that can be a struggle, but I don't think that's perhaps as common in the US. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I imagine the population is much more homegrown.
Yeah, it is. So I don't know if that's such an issue, but then a lot of people live far away from family. So my
Mm.
advice is go for it. I would put it out there and try to find someone if that's what you want. But I'd also look at going to some therapy. If you haven't had a relationship since 2009, I would look into that and explore that. There might be some avoidant tendencies, like what's going on. That is it because you just haven't really been bothered and you've been busy with your career, or is there some anxiety around relationships?
And if so, some hypnotherapy would be amazing to clear that. One of the things that can help is, and this might sound a little bit clinical, is to set yourself a target of people that you're going to date and then actively seek out dates to kind of check them off, whether it's one a month or two a month. Or I had a friend who was dating 2 a week. She wanted to go on 2 dates a week just to meet different people and see who she clicked with. And I think the longer you've been single, the more important it is to not just settle down with the first guy that you meet and get overexcited when someone pays you positive attention. There's so many single people out there, and you sound hilarious. So, yeah, I think it'll be easy to find someone. What about this Bob? Why is he not taking you out if he's your gay friend and getting you laid? That's what I do for my
Well, where is he going to take her, to a gay bar?
well, no, to a straight club. Oh, but then people might think that he's her boyfriend, and then yeah, maybe that's the
Exactly.
problem. That could be the problem. People think she's got a boyfriend.
Mm. I used to go to gay bars with friends and I'd still meet guys. And they'd turn out to be bisexual.
Yes, well, the first time I went to a gay bar was in Edinburgh when I was 18. It was called CC Bloom's, and I was dancing downstairs till 3 in the morning, and at the end of the night, who walked me home but a woman? An older woman. And there's like, Daryl, only you can go into a gay bar and leave with a woman. For fuck's sake, sorry.
Oh, funny.
Yes.
So, yeah, hopefully that's helpful advice. Just know if you really want some sperm, it's not hard to find. There's lots of men that'd be quite happy to share it with you. But I think it's also important to be upfront with what you're looking for. I think that's a great idea, Daryl, of going on some site where, what is it? Sperm Finder? No.
No, co-parent match.
Oh, yeah. Co-parent match. Sorry. Or adult friend finder. You also can find some sperm. And I think make a list, visualize what you want, look into clearing any blocks you have around finding a relationship, if that's what you want, or finding a sperm donor, and make sure you're in a healthy place and take some supplements.
Some antioxidants. If you are in USA and you have some good sperms for our writer, then write in. Tell us all about how awesome you are. But we're going to have some criteria. So I believe most women want men to be taller than they are. And you didn't say how tall you are. So let's just say like 6 foot plus. And they should be kind, lovely, intelligent. And what else?
Well, I think that's a little bit harsh.
What?
Being kind and intelligent? No, I'm just kidding.
It's impossible. It's impossible to find these things.
She could, I mean, the perfect sperm. I mean, if she's like 5'10", she could easily, especially when it comes to sperm donor, have a baby with someone who's 5'8" and still.
But she'll never be able to wear heels.
Well, you said for a sperm donor, not necessarily for a boyfriend.
Good point. Good point. Yes. So
yeah,
you can be any height you like. So if you're listening to this and you have some sperms that you would like to donate to our caller, then please write in and tell us all about yourself and your most embarrassing moment. And we will share it with What's Her Face. We don't know her real name. And if she wants your number, then we'll pass it along.
Sounds good. So on that note, is there anything else we want to say?
Yeah. Well, yes. So if you would like to find out more about using hypnotherapy for fertility, then you can go to what's your Mind Body Health website?
Yeah, Mind Body Health Hypnotherapy, and you can make an appointment with either of us.
And if you would like to train with us, we're going to teach you lots of cool shit in a super funny way. Or if you've got a story to share with us or a problem, wtfstoriesandadvice@gmail.com.
All right, on that note, bye.
Bye.
There goes a sight from my soul.